If you want to achieve a smooth level of gaming performance in your favorite games, the GPU or graphics card is the most important component. This PC component will literally determine the amount of FPS that you get, therefore the better the graphics card, the better the level of gaming performance. That being said, if you're looking to play at 1440p resolution and you need a new graphics card that fits your budget and needs, then you came to the right place, because today I will show you the best 1440p gaming graphics cards in 2025 for all budgets. And I will also show you the level of gaming performance that you can expect with each graphics card in both high demanding titles and esports shooters. You will find the links to these graphics cards down below in the video description with the latest prices and availability in your region. My name is Valentino. That being said, let's start. Now, in order for a graphics card to be considered 1440p ready, it has to have at least 12 gigs of VRAM and it has to perform at 60 to 70 plus FPS on average in high demanding games, high to ultra settings. That way you make sure the level of performance is going to be smooth no matter the type of game. If you're working with a tight budget, then I recommend you getting the RX 6750 XT from AMD or the Intel Arc B580 from Intel. The 6750 XT will allow you to play at 60 plus FPS on average all the time. Actually, it will allow you to play at around 70 plus FPS at 1440p high to ultra settings, and I'm talking about high demanding games. And then the Intel Arc B580 is going to be just slightly slower, but still you will be performing at 60 plus FPS on average in these same high demanding titles at 1440p. And then when it comes to esports shooters, you can expect 144 plus FPS on average, and I'm talking about games like CS2 or Valorant or Fortnite, but possibly even more. So feel free to go with a 144Hz 1440p monitor here or a 240Hz one if you want to. However, keep in mind that esports games require more of your CPU, so the CPU is very important here, and don't worry about it, I will be explaining CPUs in just a moment. Now, the price for the 6750 XT by the time of filming is going to cost you around $335, while the Intel Arc B580 is going for around $250. However, the Intel Arc B580 has been out of stock basically from day one because it's a new graphics card. So if you can get it at 250, I think that the B580 is a much better value option than the 6750 XT. But if you can't find it in stock anywhere and you need a graphics card right now, go with the 6750 XT instead. With the next one, we have the best mid-range graphics card for 1440p resolution gaming, and this one is the RX 7700 XT. This GPU is going to be amazing when it comes to even the most high demanding games out there, and you will be able to play at 80 plus FPS on average in this type of games, so it is way more powerful than the 6750 XT or Intel Arc B580. And then when it comes to esports games, you will be able to average 240 plus FPS in competitive settings in most esports titles depending on your CPU. Remember, I will be talking about the CPUs in just a moment. Now, the price for this graphics card by the time of filming is $399, so it's a very good price for a mid-range graphics card that's actually amazing when it comes to just any game at 1440p. And if you play at 1080p right now and you are looking to upgrade to 1440p in the future, this graphics card will give you very high FPS at 1080p, and it's also 4K ready depending on the game. If you play very easy to run games, you can easily play at 4K. Let's say you want to play a game like Minecraft with some shaders, definitely 4K is going to be a possibility. With the next one, we have the best value 1440p graphics card in the entire market by the time of filming at least, and this is the RX 7800 XT going for around $460. Now, the price for this graphics card is actually excellent because for under $500 you are getting top tier performance at 1440p, and I'm talking about 90 plus FPS on average in high demanding games, high to ultra settings. And this is the first graphics card with 16 gigs of VRAM on this list, so it is 4K ready in case you want to play at 4K high to ultra settings depending on the game, but for the most part you will have no issues when it comes to 4K. Now, if you want to play the latest most high demanding games at 4K down the line, then yes, it's not going to be ideal, and in that case I do recommend you either turning on FSR, which is the upscaler from AMD, or lowering the graphics settings, or if you have more money, of course, buy a better graphics card. When it comes to esports games, with this GPU, if you pair it with the right CPU, you will be able to achieve 300 plus FPS on average in most competitive shooters in competitive settings at 1440p. Now, if you want a graphics card that's in an upper mid-range tier, then I recommend you getting the RTX 4070 Super, going for around $599. This GPU is slightly faster than the 7800 XT. You can expect 100 plus FPS on average when it comes to the most high demanding games out there. But since you get a graphics card from Nvidia, you get the DLSS technology, which works better than FSR, and on top of that you get a better level of ray tracing performance in case you care about ray tracing while gaming. Also, if you do more than just gaming, if you do content creation or you do some type of productivity work or 3D rendering, Nvidia usually works better, so you pay a premium but you're getting a better graphics card overall. And then when it comes to esports games, you can expect 360 plus FPS depending on the game, and of course if you pair it with the right CPU. And then if you want a high-end graphics card for 1440p and you want to play any game very high FPS, then I recommend you getting either the RTX 4070 Ti Super or the RX 7900 XT from AMD. Now, the AMD graphics card is quite cheaper, going for $699, while the 4070 Ti Super goes for $849. And in terms of gaming performance, both of these are going to be top tier when it comes to 1440p resolution, 115 plus FPS on average in the most high demanding games out there, high to ultra settings. The 4070 Ti Super has 16 gigs of VRAM and the 7900 XT has 20, so a bit more VRAM, but I'm not concerned about VRAM because 16 gigs is going to be enough even for 4K Ultra. And speaking about 4K, both of these graphics cards are 4K ready and you can easily play high demanding games at 4K high to ultra settings, so very good graphics cards here. But again, I have to go back to the price point. The 7900 XT is much better when it comes to price to performance, so if you just care about rasterized gaming performance, the 7900 XT is going to be definitely your best option. But if you really care about having DLSS as your upscaler, or you really care about ray tracing performance, or you're a content creator and you know for a fact that you need Nvidia and you still want top tier performance at 1440p, then the 4070 Ti Super makes more sense, and spending the $150 extra is going to make a difference for you. However, I also want you to consider the next graphics card, which is a future-proof 1440p gaming GPU in the RX 7900 XTX. This is the fastest graphics card from AMD at the moment and is only $10 more expensive than the 4070 Ti Super, while providing a better level of gaming performance. This GPU is also amazing when it comes to 4K Ultra, and it is actually designed for 4K. That's why it's more of a future-proof 1440p graphics card. And usually I don't mention this GPU in 1440p lists because it's objectively an overkill for most games. But considering that it's only $10 more expensive than the 4070 Ti Super, if you are considering the Nvidia GPU, and again, you mostly care about rasterized gaming performance, then you might as well spend $10 more and get the 7900 XTX, which is a better option when it comes to rasterized performance. And before I talk to you about CPUs, which again is very important, and if you get that component wrong, you are going to be bottlenecking your entire gaming performance. Before talking about that, I want to talk about the GPUs that you should avoid for 1440p gaming. The first one is the RTX 4060 Ti 8GB version. This one goes for around $379 US, very expensive, and it has 8 gigs of VRAM, so it's not going to be enough for high demanding games on ultra settings at 1440p. It has a very decent level of gaming performance, but it is too expensive. For much less, I would highly recommend the 6750 XT that I mentioned before. And then the second graphics card is the same 4060 Ti, but this time the 16GB version. This GPU has the same level of gaming performance as the 8GB version, and even though you get more VRAM, the price is around $450. For $10 more, you can get the 7800 XT, which is about 30% faster on average, so it is a much better option in terms of price to performance. Now, if you are a content creator and Nvidia works better for you, then I can see why you would buy a 4060 Ti 16GB version, but not the 8GB one. And then there's one graphics card in the gray zone, and that's the RTX 4070 Ti. This is the current GPU I have on my personal PC. The reason why the 4070 Ti is on a gray zone is because it's way too expensive for a 12 gigs of VRAM graphics card. This 4070 Ti will provide amazing performance at 1440p, but you're spending $730 for a graphics card that might not have enough VRAM for future games. And you can get the 4070 Super instead, which is $599 and will provide very similar level of gaming performance at a much lower price, and it's from Nvidia as well, in case you really want to get an Nvidia GPU. And even after you get one of these recommended graphics cards cards that I've mentioned today, which you're supposed to get amazing performance, you can still get low FPS and stutters, because if your CPU is not enough, then it's going to be bottlenecking your graphics card. So trust me, you definitely don't want a CPU bottleneck unless you really like stutters for some reason. So if you want the smoothest level of gaming performance and you need a CPU to pair with one of these graphics cards, then I recommend you watching my video on the best gaming CPUs of the year for every budget and every resolution, for you to make sure that you are not bottlenecking one of these GPUs. And don't worry, because in the video description I will also leave the best CPU to pair with each graphics card, in case you just don't want to see that video but you still need the recommendation. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.